renowned psychiatrist and educator, Dr. Frasier Crane.
Please, friends, just call me world renowned.
Frasier is a comedy that premiered in October of 2023 on Paramount Plus. It has 10 episodes in its first season, each going roughly about 25 to 28 minutes apiece. This is a reboot or a continuation on the Frasier character that ran for 11 seasons. The new series stars Kelsey Grammer as Dr. Frasier Crane and Jack Cutmore Scott as his grown son, Freddie Crane. Now, the brief synopsis that we have from IMDb is that Frasier is off to a different city with new challenges to face, new relationships to forge, and an old dream or two to finally fulfill. Frasier has re entered the building. I found the original Frasier character okay. I wasn't a fan of Cheers, but I watched it from time to time. And Frasier's spinoff was about the same. Just, hit or miss. Watch it if there was nothing else on. And when I watched it, I sometimes liked the dry humor and some of the thoughts that he had on life. And honestly, there were more times that I found that it was just dry and not particularly entertaining. So I'm pretty much going to be a casual viewer in this review. And the reason why I always go and actually give you my perspective is you should always know what perspective your reviewer has so you can make an educated decision for yourself. I watched the first 2 episodes of brand new content on streaming platforms to see if it's worth your time. I watch so you don't have to. If you like how that sounds, do me a favor, click like, share, subscribe. And now, let me get a little bit deeper into this review. Now, just like you, before I go ahead and actually watch an actual series, what have you, I typically go and actually read the synopsis, and then I'll go and actually watch the trailer, see if it's my kind of vibe, see what I can glean off of it. And I did the same thing with Frasier here, even though I kind of felt like I knew what this was going to entail, but got to go ahead and actually research just a little bit. And with that, I got some expectations that I have for the series before I watch the first 2 episodes. First and foremost, I'm going to be looking to see if there's going to be some old characters returning for Frasier. I mean, I obviously know that the guy that played John Martin, Frasier's father, has passed away or what have you, but there's some other characters that I know that are prevalent to the series that I'm thinking that they'll either be part of the series on a part-time basis or maybe even show cameos, what have you. So that's one expectation I have. Two is probably more dry humor, same type of humor that would have been in the original series or what have you. Probably something a little bit more reflective in the latter part of his life, reconnected with his son, that type of thing. That's kind of seems where this particular series is going. And then I think that there's probably going to be some updating as far as the new society, how Gen Z works, or maybe even millennials, because if we're looking at Frasier, he's a boomer, but related to his son, who is seems like he's probably like in his late 20s, early 30s, or something like that. So he's probably a millennial at this point. So probably dealing with society, life, technology, things like that. I expect some of that to kind of be like some parts of the humor and things like that. So those are some of the expectations that I have for the series going into it. And now let me go ahead and actually watch those first 2 episodes and see what I think. So after watching those first 2 episodes on there, usually I like to go and actually give like a comparison of what you can kind of compare the series to of other previous content. Honestly, there's no other comparisons to this. It's either if you like the original Frasier comedy series, that's pretty much what the series is. There's not really much a comparison to go ahead and actually do with that. But let me give you some of my thought processes within those first 2 episodes and get into a little bit deeper the review. So, in the first episode, uh, the jokes are very similar to the original series as far as the dry wit, some biting humor, things like that. This it's a throwback in sitcom as far as the set style, meaning that we're talking about the fabricated rooms and apartment setups and things of that nature, what have you. So it's comforting type of thing that kind of sets you back into that type of sitcom style, like the 70s, 80s, and 90s. For me, at least in the first episode, there was a few chuckles and smiles, no kind of laugh out loud moments. It just wasn't there for me. it was interesting to go ahead and actually see how they, in a 20-minute runtime of that first episode, that they did a reintroduction, introduced some new characters, compacted everything in storyline into that 28 minutes. They were very efficient in how they went and actually did it, and I felt like they gave me the entire story in that amount of time. I didn't feel like it was too rushed, and I felt it was like right spot on. I think that the writing is done well for the way that this series is constructed. The other aspect of it is that, the first lesson learned, always sitcoms on there's always like this lesson to learn. The first one was kind of, I know what they were going for, but I didn't kind of feel it. It wasn't really like that impactful or what have you. But um, again, it's the first episode and the reboot of the series, what have you. But I didn't really feel it on the first episode. In the second episode, it was a bit better on the lesson learned type of thing. I think that they were a little bit more hit spot on with it. They've kind of found their footing on that one. The support players are very important to the whole Frasier dynamic because his character is so dry and intellectual, what have you. You have to have characters around him that kind of round out the character, and I think that the characters around him are done pretty well, and that kind of helps the series out. One of the things that I think that they're trying to do is to kind of make Freddie Crane into a young version of Frasier's father and being like kind of like the everyman type of thing on there, and Frasier having to reconnect with him. And I don't think it's quite as entertaining as they think it should be, at least in those first two episodes. In the second episode, they're trying it. It's a little bit more front and center, and it doesn't quite hit the way that I think that they want it to. But again, that's just my thought process in those first two episodes. So that's kind of like what I have on the thought process on there. So when I'm looking at grading these series on there, I kind of have three different type of criteria. One, I'm grading the storytelling of plausibility, sensibility, uh, the way that pacing goes, concepts of stories, things of that nature, kind of grade that overall. Then I look at the acting, both individuals and ensemble cast, and kind of see, do I like them? Do they make me care about the characters at all? Do I find them entertaining? Do I find them funny? Um, how do they interact with each other? And how's that dialogue? What does that sound like and things of that nature? So I kind of grade that separately. And then there's intangibles, things like just the general overall feel of the entertainment value, whether it's an action, comedy, whether it's sets, designs, things that kind of make you think about real life type of stuff. I kind of grade the intangibles aspects of things. So those are the three categories I look at grading before I kind of give my overall verdict for the series. So first and foremost, taking a look at the story for Frasier. Each episode is like a typical sitcom style. There's a new problem situation in every type of episode. The characters deal with it, and usually within that half-hour period or what have you. The stories are based on an older, wiser Fraser now who's trying to understand his son more. Obviously, it's very plausible and it's relatable to the majority of us out there. The only thing about sitcom style comedy is that there's a certain level of predictability that goes along with it, meaning that I know the destination pretty much all the time. Once you tell me the problem, I know how the sitcom is going to deal with it for the most part. And so it's not innovative, it's not different, other than kind of looking at it from the vantage point of whatever character is in the particular series. So you kind of have to go ahead and actually have bombastic characters or characters that have unique personality types in order to kind of make the story feel refreshed. The dialogue here was okay. There's some moments here and there. Some of it's a little sappy, but some of it's not. But there's some thought process. There's some little nuggets in there. Overall, I can't say that this is intriguing for a casual viewer to really draw them in. There's nothing innovative or groundbreaking about it. So I'm going to go ahead and actually give the storytelling in Frasier a C. In regards to acting, uh, Kelsey Grammer is Frasier. He can play that part in his sleep. He does it well. Um, you know what you're getting with him every single time, and he plays it to the hilt. Um, I think he can play that until his dying days. I mean, just honestly. Um, now, for me, the character in and of himself is not that entertaining. It's not one that I would choose to follow around. He's not one that I must tune in for. But Kelsey Grammer's uh, execution of the character is done well. Now, I I believe like the only returning actor from the original series is Nicholas Lyndhurst playing Alan Cornwell. Cornwall, and I honestly didn't know that character. I didn't watch enough of those episodes to really know of that character. Now, in this new rebooted one, his character is kind of fun, and he's kind of meant to kind of give that gruff, I'll say whatever I want to kind of vibe. Kind of similar to the guy who played uh, Frasier's father in the first series or what have you. He's not meant to kind of replace him, but just kind of get those zingers in there and things of that nature. He kind of has that aspect of it, and he's pretty entertaining. That's kind of fun. Um, for Frasier, honestly, all the characters that surround uh, Frasier have to kind of offset him because he's so pretentious, he's so intellectual, what have you, that everybody else kind of goes and actually is more grounded, and they're kind of he's the straight man for the most part, and everybody else adds levity and comedy and things of that nature. And you can kind of see that the characters themselves are very similar to the ones that were originally there. There's the sassy smart woman who was very much like his producer in the original one. There's the young woman trying to figure out life type of thing, which turned out to be, I can't remember her name, but it was the lady who Niles was back and forth of trying to go and actually date or what have you. Then there is a Niles-esque character who, you know, oddly enough, is actually played by supposed to be Niles' son, so Frasier's nephew. And he's there to kind of, he's super smart and things of that nature, but he's very awkward, just like his father was, or what have you. And so um, he's there. And then there's kind of like the combo of uh, Frasier and his father's characters emerge into one of Freddie Crane, his son. And you can kind of see that, he's smart, but he's also kind of like a regular dude. And his character is not actually meant to really be funny. It's meant to be played off of Frasier and things of that nature and stuff for their differences or what have you. So the characters overall are familiar to us as far as what they represent around Frasier. I like the writing, the casting, and the vibe for all the players are good. I think that they're all meant to measure and play off of each other and play their parts or what have you. And they seem to enjoy working with each other. Most of the characters are likable, and they're humorous overall. So I'm going to go ahead and actually give acting for Frasier a B minus. Okay. Last thing to go and actually grade is my intangible. So looking back at my original expectations, doesn't look like any of the old characters will be returning in this first season of Frasier, outside of the one guy who I think he only played like a bit role in the very first iteration, but he's gonna have a more prevalent role here. But nobody else is showing up on there, so that's a little disappointing, I think, for maybe fans of Frasier or any casual like, oh, well, I used to like this character. They're not showing up, at least on this first season. For better or worse, the same dry sense of humor is there. So if you like that type of comedy, it's there for you. Hasn't really changed very much. There wasn't really touching any much on new way of society as far as like young people or technology or anything like that. None of that is popping up on this particular series, what have you. So there's an expectation that doesn't quite hit on there, and I don't know if that's a plus or a minus. It's just I had that expectation. Doesn't seem like that's something that's really coming into play, at least in these first two episodes. Really leaned into making this a comforting series for fans of the original, whether we're talking about the uh, set designs, whether we're talking about the pacing, whether the comedy is achieved on there. There's just a lot there that I think fans of the original are going to really like. Now, for me, the times that I did like the original, and there's not a whole lot of them that I like, but the two things that I really liked as far as the dynamics of relationships is when Niles and Frasier were going at it because they were intellectual peers to each other, but their personalities were different as far as how they attack stuff. But then they had some similarities or whatever, and so that was actually kind of entertaining to go and actually watch them go back and forth because Frasier had a peer or what have you. And then obviously the dynamic between him and his father, where his father go ahead and actually is the regular dude. He's not as smart as his sons or whatever, but he had his own wisdom to go and actually drop there. He was tough. He was, every guy type of thing or what have you. And those two dynamics are kind of missing in this, new series. And not to say that other relationships can't evolve into that, but it's really missing here. And those are like the two things that I really tuned in for when I did go and actually watch the original series. So overall, for the intangibles of the things that did like, didn't like, whatever, I'm gonna go ahead and actually say it's like a C minus for me because there's not a lot there for me to grasp onto or hold on to or what have you. But now let me get to this verdict. So if you watch my platform at all, you'll know that I'll go ahead and actually do the verdicts of four different levels. Either one, I'm going to tell you, binge the whole first season, series, whatever the case may be. It's worth your time. Go and actually get down to it. Two, I might tell you, watch the first two episodes, just to go ahead and actually get you. I think it's well enough. It's good enough for you to go ahead and actually get two episodes of your time to kind of get a real feel to see this is your series. I might also only going to tell you to watch one episode, that it's only worth or necessary for you to watch one episode to kind of make your mind up if this series is for you. And lastly, I can just tell you to skip it, meaning that it's not worth your time. There's no need to watch it because you're not going to gain anything out of it. So those are kind of my different criteria level for verdicts. So first and foremost, my verdict for main target audience members, I'm gonna go ahead and actually say people that love to go ahead and actually, they love the first series, they like Cheers, all that kind of stuff. On there, you're the main target audience members. I'm gonna say watch the first two episodes. Um, reason being is that it's meant for specific kind of folks, uh, those original fans and those that are trying to navigate. Uh, Reconnecting with their families and things like that nature, those are the people that this is really targeting. And with the tone, the setting, and the familiarity that they have going on there, I think mains will want to give it the two-episode watch to see if they connect with the new characters and the settings and see if it's for you. Because if those characters resonate with you, it's going to be like slipping right back into the original series. If they don't connect with you, you know, then it is what it is. But at least it'll be worth your time, I think, watching the first two episodes. Now, for casual viewers, viewers that are not fans of the original Frasier, not fans of Kelsey Grammer, you're just kind of tuning in to see, hey, is this worth my time? Unfortunately, I'm going to have to say this is a skip it. It's not that it's bad. It's just it is what it is. You're not finding anything new here. Nothing that you're going to get that you can't get a little bit better in the original series, so you might as well go and actually watch that. Um, I feel is that if you're not a main target audience member, this isn't going to do much for you, and there's going to be other content for you to go ahead and actually entertain with. So again, for main target audience members, I'm going to say watch the first two episodes. For casual viewers, this is a skip it, and that's what I have for Frasier, now showing on Paramount Plus. Check it out.
I knew. Got a girlfriend I've never even heard of. When I told him I wanted to spend more time with him, he said no.
It's just not a good time.
Have you considered that he hates you?
If you like how any of that sounds, do me a favor, click like, share, subscribe, because I appreciate you staying for my entire review. I really do. Um, but if you don't like any of this, go and actually feel free to leave me a comment. I'm open to constructive criticism, constructive, nothing bad. Or if you want to, you haven't decided if you like or hate me right now, go ahead and actually check out one of my other reviews. But that's what I have. And until next time, I'll holler at you. Take care of yourself.